WagerTalk's last call here on a packed slate, actually. Ton of Major League Baseball here today. Get ready. We're already one game into the preseason in the NFL. We're about 3 weeks away from week 0 of college football. Mix in a little UFC, and you got a little something for everybody. Joe Raineri in for Kelly Stewart. Loaded show here today. Bryan Leonard will be joining us talking some Major League Baseball. R1L Steve Merril. He's up here a little bit later as well. He's got all sorts of things cooking, but no better way to kick off a Saturday on Last Call than with our man, Gianni the Greek, VR in the house, ready to go. And this is such a fun, relaxing time of year, isn't it, Gianni? Like nothing going on. Yeah, okay. We've got football already. NFL came up. Great, very entertaining, in fact, Hall of Fame game. You don't usually get those. That was pretty interesting. Back at it again beginning Thursday this week. Where are you at in the football scope of things, college and NFL right now?
So ready for the season. In fact, I should have went 2-0 on the Hall of Fame game, but I stayed very selective and just blasted the over for a 4% play. But we bet Carolina late also, so it was nice to see we got the W there. I've released already my season win totals in college football and in the NFL and my predictions for futures as far as to win the Super Bowl and to win the national championship. So I'm ready to fire in preseason and when college football begins. In fact, I already released a 4% in college football to my subscribers for that first Saturday of college football. I gave them a game, I think at -3, 3.5. It's already up to as high as 5.5. So you don't want to wait. Remember, I'm coming off a really good football season, finished #1 in profit, NFL and college football overall, and didn't even have to defy probability. Like we hit 55, 56%. That's something I can repeat and sustain easily. But more importantly, we get a little lucky this year. We may surpass that 120, 130 units that I was able to pick up last year. So I'm ready for football. I have a steam room going today. I will share for the last time to an open audience the power ratings. I will give you the exact rating. I wasn't going to do it, but I will release the exact rating so you can create your own to begin the season, and then you can adjust them as you see fit. But I will be sharing them in the steam room today. I'll get you ready for next weekend because college football, NFL preseason is here, and there's a ton of opportunity. The thing I hate most, nothing gives away that someone's square more than when they question, how can you bet preseason football? Like when you see it on social media, oh, these guys got to be degenerates. How are they betting preseason football? Bro, it's one of the most inefficient markets. In fact, it's so inefficient that you should be looking to bet preseason before regular season, because in the regular season, they're not going to make the mistakes they make during the preseason. In fact, you're going to have injuries, suspensions, bad weather for the line to move during the regular season. Right now, it's moving 3, 4, 5 points in preseason just because there's information that's not factored into the betting line yet. That's not going to happen in the regular season, rest assured. So you have a couple weeks to bet into a very inefficient market. I recommend you highly take advantage of it and don't look like, oh, it's the preseason. They don't care. So why should I care? Bro, you're looking for inefficient lines. You're not trying to predict the winner. And when you see an opener of -1 and it closes -4.5 in the NFL, that's a reflection and proof that it's an inefficient market. In the regular season, we just don't see that. A line opens 1, it closes 1.5. That's it. Unless there's injuries or a ton of steam moving the line. In preseason, that's not the case. That's where your average recreational bettor can actually find a ton of value that's not factored into the betting line. Because I know a lot of guys that are watching this right now. They know some of these teams better than the odds makers do, better than the bookmakers do. And if you know your team really, really well, you could find some value in the preseason. So I know there's not games today to discuss. I don't want to go long, but I do want to let you know there are opportunities over the next couple of weeks No reason to wait till the regular season. And finally, if you are betting week 1 of the regular season, do not wait until the day of the games, because there will be some lines knocked out of whack, because that's when the public bets. So we'll find a little value. But these lines have been up for a while. The value has been extracted. Like in season win totals, I released only 3 NFL season win totals to subscribers because the value is extracted. When these lines are up there for weeks at a time, and there's wise guys looking at them, like they're not going to offer much value to normal bettors a month later, 2 months later. So again, if you're betting week 1 NFL, week 1 college football, you probably want to have 70% of your bets in well in advance. Once the regular season starts, that's different. But right now, you don't want to be waiting that long, because you're not going to find, you'll be at that point, you're laying minus 110 to win 100, and both sides are probably negative EV at that point, if you can believe it. Because again, that's the goal of the book. They want to split the money or split the result. And when the line moves, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Well, don't worry, Gianni. The same guys bitching and moaning on social media are the ones that are like, oh, I can't believe I only got 4 out of 5 on my parlay list.
Yeah.
Shut your pie hole, dude. Now, let me ask you, college, NFL,
Yes,
two different bettors. How does that work week 1? Like, what do you see more of with college versus the NFL, or is it the same pool of guys?
It's mostly the NFL. No, a little different, because NFL is like everyone bets. You know what I mean? Like you even have guys that bet their girlfriends are betting on Sunday NFL as well. You know what I mean? Like they'll put a ticket in and have action with their boyfriend on Sunday, but not on Saturday. So you get even more recreational money, which is why they're willing to take such big bets in the NFL, because they know they have such a huge pool of unsophisticated money. And it's not a disrespect, but the bookmakers know the recreational bettors have no shot at laying 11 to 10. Like they're going to lose to the book long-term. The book is well aware of this. And in NFL, that pool of bettors so overwhelming compared to sharp bettors. That's where we're able to find some value, because a lot of the line moves are going to reflect that action, not the sharp action. Where right now in summer in Major League Baseball, like next week, when there's a Saturday next week, perfect example. Next Saturday, there's preseason football. Next Saturday's preseason football games will attract more money than anything else. In fact, Thursday's Hall of Fame game attracted more money by noon. So 5 hours before the game kicked off, it had more volume than all of Major League Baseball board for the entire day, all the WNBA board, add the tennis, got everything else that was going on that day. That one game surpassed it. So it tells you that's what the books are paying attention to, right? That's their biggest risk. So you'll find some value elsewhere. But these recreational bettors, that's what they want to bet. They want to bet the NFL. And again, that's where you'll be able to take advantage, because that public money far outweighs the sharp money. And the lines will reflect that. College football, not so much. Now, it is with the top 5, top 10 teams. That's very public influenced. But other matchups, you know, you got Western Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. You see a 2.5-point line move there. That's sharp. That's not public. Now, you see a 2.5 line move on Indiana or Ohio State. Now, you got to, draw some conclusions. But you see a 2.5-point line move again on Western Michigan, you could conclude it's sharp. Sunday NFL, that's different. You see the Colts move, the Redskins move, forgive me, it's the Commanders. The lines move. It's harder to determine, is that sharp, is that public? So those are the two biggest differences when you're talking about the football markets, that in the NFL, the public money just so far outweighs the sharp money in every matchup, where in the college football, mostly top 5, top 10. Otherwise, you can see most of the sharp money. Because again, most recreational bettors, they're not betting Toledo. They're not betting, those smaller conference teams. Unless it's a TV game, it's the only game on, then they're betting the MAC on Tuesday night. But on Saturday, they're not digging into the MAC. They're looking at the SEC. They're looking at the top 5 teams. And that's where those lines will be affected by public money also.
What they should be looking at, Gianni, is the Stony Brooks of the world, because that's where the edge is, and that's where the markets that Absolutely. You get a play from Mercer. Trust me, there's a reason where you don't need to know anything about Mercer. Just understand
when
the
I look in
public's
the
not
account,
running there and doing it.
when I log into account and I see a team that I don't know who they are and I got to Google it, and all of a sudden it says it's Division II in Peru, dude, I'm unloading. I'm getting down as much money as I can. Because nobody's betting second division Peruvian games unless they have information. Win or lose, you got the best of it. You know what I mean? Like, even when you lose, you knew you placed a good bet in those situations, at least.
Absolutely. Oh, it's good to have football back. UFC still going strong for you too, Gianni, right? Today we got a card at the Apex.
We do. I've been red hot, man. I think over the last 10, 11 weeks, number one in profit in MMA. I'll give you a nice dog right here that stuck out at me. That just jumped right off the page. I think I gave it as a 3%. I'm probably going to bump it up. And that's Richie Miranda at plus 250, 260. You probably get him about 240. Anything plus 200 or better is an automatic bet. Now, remember, if you're betting a plus 200, you have to be prepared to throw that ticket out 6 out of 10 times at the minimum. So even if I'm right, even if I'm running hot and I'm seeing it perfectly, you're going to throw out a plus 200 ticket 6 out of 10 times. If you're not comfortable doing that, probably don't bet these big dogs. But here's the bottom line. He's making his UFC debut, right? But this kid was a collegiate wrestler, number one. Number two, he fought 10, 11 pro fights in the LFA. It's smaller, obviously promotion than the UFC, but it's not like way down at the bottom. So he went 10-1 in the LFA, solid competition. More importantly, he captured a title there, and his last 3 fights were title fights in the LFA. Now he's making his UFC debut, and it appears to be on short notice, but here's what I get to find out because I'm there at the UFC. It's Contender Series time of the year. These guys that know they're on the cusp, like they haven't gotten invited yet to the UFC, but they know they're on the UFC's radar. They're staying ready. They're going to be ready over the next 10 weeks because the Contender Series starts Tuesday, and they know that every week there is a possibility someone's not going to make it. Someone's going to be injured. Someone's not going to make weight, or for whatever reason, they may get the call up. So guys like Richie Miranda are staying fight ready. So the fact that it's short notice isn't worrying me, but this line reflects that it's short notice. Otherwise, this is a huge step up for Manuel Souza, who got his win in his debut in the UFC, but he did what he was supposed to. He won as a minus 300 favorite. It's a much different fight this time around. He's a big favorite again, but this time it is not warranted. He should be maybe at the most a 150, 200 favorite, where he wins the fight about 6.5 out of 10 times. But where this line sits, we're getting a ton of value on this well-rounded fighter who's got a ton of experience at the pro level and is ready, even though it appears to be a short notice fight. So I've got 5 plays in there already. Probably going to add a couple more between now and first fight. But that was one dog that really, really jumped out at me. The Miranda fight at plus, I gave him out plus 260. And I'll give you one more actionable information. Under. Juliana Killer Miller versus Oliveira. All right. Now, I was fortunate to do the UFC On the Line show with Michael Chiesa. Now, Chiesa trains in Spokane, Washington. This girl trains out of that gym with Chiesa. So he knows how her camp went, how she's running. Anyway, it's not inside information. Just got 2 guys talking. Right. Killer's going to win this fight. Miller's going to win this fight. Now, more importantly, it's via finish. Because if she happens to lose this fight, it's because she's going to get finished. It's because Oliveira was able to use her method of road to victory opened up for her, and she got the finish because she's a closer. 2 of her 3 UFC fights finished inside the distance. Under 2.5 is only minus 130. That should be minus 200, where 2 out of 3 times it does not go to distance. I know it's women's MMA and the bias is towards the over and the judges, but this one's at flyweight and about 6.5. It's only about 60% of the time does it go to a decision. It's not like it's 70-30, but it has been so far this year. So women's flyweights are behind in finishes We have so much working for us in this fight towards that under. Again, less than 150 is a gift. Less than 200 would still be a bet. At 130, it's automatic. So there's 2 UFC, and I know my subscribers won't be pissed because, like I said, I got some volume in MMA today. Feeling very confident with combat sports right now. So that's under 2.5, Miller Oliveira, and then Richie Miranda at plus 250 or better. Worth probably a little sprinkle on both of those. Hopefully we make some money today.
Now, you got you have the steam room coming up here 1 o'clock Eastern time here today. So you're going to cover all of it, guys. Make sure you log it in. It's the last opportunity to jump in for free here, right, Gianni? The last show here.
Before the season starts, because once the season starts, I'll have free ones occasionally, but they're not going to be like once every 4 weeks like I've been doing in the summer. You know what I mean? We'll have one every 8 weeks or so that's wide open because it's got to focus on my subscribers and the guys that are partnered with me for football because we're putting in futures. Like the way I'm maneuvering the subscription, it's for guys that are partnered with me for longer term. You know what I mean? So yeah, jump in the steam room today. You'll get a ton of actionable information for sure.
All right, on the way out here, any steam that we should know about? Major League Baseball, WNBA, what do you got for us?
I'm going to give you some baseball really quick. And in the steam room, I'll give you everything else because I have so much steam today so far. In WNBA, here's what I could tell you. All 3 WNBA games got steamed under, heavy under. So the only way you could bet any of them is the over. Either if you like any of the overs, you're getting extra value. Otherwise, leave it alone. Problem is all the public's on all the unders as well, except for Vegas, Minnesota. That's where they're opposite, where the public's going over, but the wise guys went under. That one a little bit. But the other ones, Indiana, Minnesota, Seattle, Portland, they got steamed under. The public went under. So that line moves so significantly on those totals. You can't bet the unders. You either got to look to the over or leave them alone. Baseball, I'll only share a couple of the ones that I actually agreed with. 951 Mets plus 120, plus 115. Colorado plus 145, 140. Cleveland all the way up to minus 120. Minnesota down to plus 140. Couple totals, over 8.5 in the Mets. Under 7.5 in Seattle. Yeah, that's about it as far as the strong stuff that I agree with. Now, I have about 15, 20 plays. There'll be more than enough time for you to handicap them and see whether you agree or disagree because the steam room is up in about 90 minutes, and I'll have all of that for you. We'll go over Major League Baseball, WNBA, UFC. I'll cover NFL and college football, answer all your questions. And finally, I got a special blackjack that we're going to talk about. I'm going to share some things with you guys. So join me and let's do some damage.
There it is. Gianni the Greek, VR. Thanks, always a pleasure, brother. We'll see you 1 o'clock Eastern time today here for the steam room. Make sure you guys set your alarm and make sure you join him. Absolutely worth just going to check out what he's got to say about the blackjack. Still one of the best courses that you guys can hop on with. So steam room, 1 o'clock Eastern with Gianni here today. And as long as you're sitting there and watching this, hit the like button. Well, you do the thing with the whole buttons there. There's a subscribe, I think. There's some sort of thumbs up. You guys know the routine. This is not your first rodeo here as we get ready for a monster slate of Major League Baseball here today. First game coming up 3 o'clock Eastern, I think. Yankees and Braves, game 2 of that one. Who better to talk some Major League Baseball with than the one and only Mr. Bryan Leonard, ready to roll here today. And BL, always a pleasure to see you. At least you don't have Ralph in the background there coaching you up this time. So you're back home now? Everything good? You left Florida?
I'll be down to visit Ralph in about 3 weeks. So yeah. He's one of the only guys that I go to visit seems to have the ability on his internet to get me to do the show. So the other ones are too slow. I get that week off. But no, it'll be good to go down there and see him. He's a lot of fun, just like you are. And it's always good to see my Florida friends.
Absolutely. Get out of Dodge, come to Florida. That's the way to do it. Talk to me about, before we dive into baseball here, talk to me. It's been a hell of a 365 days for you. Number one here at WagerTalk, units, over 115 of them. It's been a heck of a year for you there, Bryan. Congrats. But talk to me about, what is football for you this time of year over the next couple of weeks? What are you prepping for? What do you got up? What do we need to know here?
Yeah, basically, I don't do preseason. It's just, to me, it's just a numbers game. You got to catch the information early, or you're going to miss out on it. Unless you're going to do like Trig says, just wait for the line to move and then just buy back. I think that's a pretty good idea. But yeah, with baseball going on right now, I am preparing for the football season. There's a lot of guys. I'm somebody who isn't afraid of paying for information. There's a lot of guys out there that publish books, they publish magazines, they give you power ratings, that kind of thing. So I do a lot of that, and I conglomerate it into my own numbers, and it turns out to be pretty good. We've had a lot of success over the years in college football. Another one last year, and for the NFL, it's all a numbers game. Everybody knows anything. It's if you turn on the TV, you turn on ESPN. Now they've been talking about football for months now, without even knowing there's other sports actually going on in regular season. So yeah, it's a situation where all the information's out there. So your chances are you're not going to get an edge on the number unless you know where the number is going. One of the things I always take a look at is if you're playing a Monday Night Football game and one team looks really good, you know the public's going to come in on that team the next week, so you can get a head start on that. Say they're laying 3 and you think the line's going to close 4.5, you minus the 3, and then later on decide what you want to do. And so that's the way professional bettors do it. But to me, the NFL is all about numbers, and most of the time they overreact to injuries, and you can take some advantages that way. But college football is the one that's a lot more work, a lot more power ratings, and it's even harder now with everybody just jumping from one team to another. These guys that do all that preseason work, you got to give them all the credit in the world, and they deserve the money I pay for those numbers.
Oh, absolutely. Who wants to look at that many, D1 teams and Power 4 conferences? Plus, there's always Notre Dame. Yeah, no, it's much easier to go that route there for sure. So no preseason for you, but this is the time of year that you start getting the work done. Any futures or anything like that, Brian, do you do?
No, I haven't done anything on any of that. I used to do a lot more of that when I was a little bit younger. I can get out and run from casino to casino and do all that. But yeah, as well, we all just turned 30, so you know how that is.
Yeah, no, it's called you don't want to. You don't want to fry yourself out like that. Right. And I agree with you 100% there. Now, having said that, Major League Baseball, beautiful time of year. A lot of the public money has left the market. Interesting, Matt. Trade deadline has come and gone, right? So we have a good idea about who's in contention and who might be mailing it in. That's what makes August and September so much fun here. And then you have situations like you got a pitcher for Chicago today in Clay Holmes. And we have absolutely no idea. He hasn't pitched in 2 months. What do you do with situations like this? Indications are he's been pretty good in the minors, but it's his first start in over 60 days, Brian. What do you do with something like that?
Yeah, in this case, I'm just going to sit back and watch that one. I think Clay Holmes was a very nice move by the Cubs to bring him in. They've done a nice job. They've had terrible luck this year on their starting pitchers, and yet they're in playoff contention. And as we just saw, they were able to sweep the Dodgers. I guess that's not such a big thing anymore, sweeping the Dodgers, because they've lost 7 straight. But yeah, you have to sit back and relax a little bit. For his first start, you can't expect him to be as good as he was in the minors, but he's facing better hitters here. But you really don't know. A lot of times on these games before they bring him up, they're working on certain pitches or whatever. I don't think that was his case. He's been in ready to pitch for a long time, so he should be pretty ready here. He's going up against Lugo, who's had a little bit of a disappointment season for him, but he's a guy that's a fly ball pitcher, and Kansas City moved in the fences a little bit. So it's a little bit different there. It's easier to hit a home run in Kansas City. But I like the Cubs. The Cubs are a complete team, but I'm not going to lay that kind of number here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then you've got, this time of year, Brian, how do you approach you don't want to catch a falling knife as much as people don't. There's a lot of people have lost a lot of money line parlays back in the Dodgers over the last week. 3 losses. All right, 4, let's 5. So now we're 7 losses in a row here. At what point do you start going, no, I'm not doing it anymore? Like, at what point do you have to get? How many losses is no longer just a fluke?
Yeah, we talked before the season that the Dodgers are the one team that we are we're all very confident on is going to win the division. They're so deep, and they got so many guys in the minor leagues they could trade away, and they've done a little of that during the trade deadline. But they're such a deep team. They don't need to go out and win every single day. But when you're on a losing streak, it's in the back of your head, and they've got their ace going. They got Yamamoto on the mound today but he's going against Brandon Pfaadt, and Brandon Pfaadt was highly touted when he came into the majors, had some control problems, actually was demoted and put in the bullpen for a while. But since he's come back, everything has been going really well for him. And he's actually been just as good as Yamamoto, maybe even better pitching at home. I believe he's got some terrific record when he pitches at home for Arizona. So you've got that going for you, and you're catching him in the 150 to 160 range. If I'm playing, I'm probably taking the dog here. I know how important it is for the Dodgers to get a victory, but if you've gone through the entire season and cruised, basically is what they have done, and now all of a sudden you've got to turn it on, and they've been turning it on for the last 4 or 5 games, and they're still not winning, I'm not gonna stand in the way of that. So if I'm playing, I'm taking the underdog in this one.
I love it there. All right, I got one more for you here, Brian, because if you're just tuning in and watching us, do the thing with the buttons, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. But Brian he's a Guardians guy. He's a Cleveland guy at heart, all right? And your Guardians, I was proud of them, pushing the chips in the middle, saying, we're going to make a run at this. Now, thank goodness the White Sox had to play 97 innings the night before and didn't get into town until 3 o'clock in the morning. But the Guardians have a pretty good one on the mound here tonight. Gavin Williams taking on Anthony Kay of the White Sox. Dare I say they make it 2 in a row here, Brian?
I originally from Cleveland, I followed the team for years. They've never had much money. They're a team that sells during the break. Not only did they didn't trade away any major league players. They traded away some minor league guys. So I love what they did, especially from an offensive standpoint. And obviously, although he had a bad start first time out, the starter they got from St. Louis, Washington.
Yep.
He's going to be pretty good. But today, there's a little bit of money coming in on the White Sox here. Usually earlier, the Cleveland was about a 130 favorite. Now I'm seeing it down to 121 at one other place. So money's coming in on Chicago, but I've watched Chicago a lot in the last couple of weeks. The pitching's been good, but that hitting has not been good at all. And you mentioned Gavin Williams. I know he's gone 4 straight games now in which he's had 10 strikeouts or more and only 1 walk. I believe that's a record that he has set. I think he's going for the record today. I think he tied Oral Hershiser was up there for a while. But I don't want to stand in the way of Williams right now. And he's going up against a Chicago team that's not hitting. The problem is Cleveland hasn't been good versus lefties, and they're going up against Anthony Kay. So if I'm playing, I'm probably either going to play Cleveland, or I'm going to play Chicago team total under, or I'm just going to play the entire game under, because I think this is a situation where the importance of the game means these guys may be playing a little bit more National League ball from the olden days, where they're going to get on and try to steal a base a little bit, as opposed for relying and swinging for the fences.
I gotta love it. Got Guardians. That is anybody's division. That is for sure in the Central. So a lot can happen there. A lot has happened over the last year for you, Bri, up over 115 units, number 1, in fact. And you got a pretty good, listen, with college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, end of the regular season, go down the list here. This is a great opportunity to partner with you. Just lock it in. And look, the track record speaks for itself, right?
It certainly does. Been number 1 in Major League Baseball net profit the 12 years I've been on WagerTalk. Number 1 in NHL net profit the 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years by now that I've been working on NHL hockey. And the reason why I like them is because I like to play underdogs, and you get plus money back as opposed to regular your 11 to 10 numbers. So I think college football has been good. And, if you've joined us I don't put out a lot in the NBA regular season, but the playoffs have been golden. They were again this year. Last year I put out like 1,200. You can add it up, over 1,200 plays, and the cost right now is only $11.88. You're getting my plays for less than $1 a play, and that includes all the 5%. So we've been on a terrific run on 4% and 5% play. So it's a great deal. If you've been with us the last 2 months, you know how much money you got. invest it back into us for the next 12. You're never going to see this deal again. This is a great deal.
It's the way to do it, guys. Right now on his page over at WagerTalk.com. Jump on board. Locked and loaded here today for Major League Baseball. What you got for us?
Yep, I had to do the baseball show before this, so I'm just about to put my plays up. I'm looking to have 5 plays today. So if you like a lot of plays, that will be it. I don't think I'm going to have any 4s or 5s today. I've been living off of those, and they've been great. But we're on something like 90. I don't know, some 68% run going back 2 months. So yeah, it's been really good. So yeah, if you get a nice package here with all the plays I get, and I'll try to keep that price down a little for you.
Do it. That's it. Bryan Leonard, WT.buzz/BL. Bryan, always a pleasure to see you, my man. Keep crushing it. Of course, a couple of weeks I'll have to come back and I'll see you with Ralph once again. So enjoy, Bryan. Thanks so very much here, guys. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. Become part of this Wager Talk TV family as I got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, guys. Getting ready, of course, for not only the NFL, but college football. Can't believe it. Here we are sitting at the 8th of August. Before we know it, college basketball, the NBA will be back, NHL. It is a beautiful time of year, but a lot going on, some important stuff going on over the next couple of weeks as well. And who better to talk with here to put it all in a nice little bow than the one and only RR1L, Steve Merril, in the house, ready to roll here. Merrill, what is going on? If you're not out on the court or on the field coaching, my man, you're here with us.
That's right.
On last call because you're busy than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, my friend.
Yeah, and I'm happy there's no baseball today because it's already almost 100 heat index at 11:30 a.m. Eastern here in Virginia. So, yeah, we're taking no baseball except on weeknights this time of year, which is a good thing. And then, yeah, a little break from basketball. Had some during the week. But, yeah, weekends are open now, Joe. It's nice, and we need them open because it's almost busy time, right? NFL preseason started Thursday. By the way, I put a video out Thursday. Last 2 years, the Thursday night NFL videos have hit over 70%. Everyone gets all excited for prime. Well, that game was on NBC Thursday, but I had Panthers and over. So nice start to the preseason as well, for what it's worth. I didn't touch the game, light leans only, but we will have some preseason best bets the next couple weeks. We got a full week 1 coming up here. And working on a database, an updated AI database for the NFL preseason. Joe, I was up late last night scraping some data. Very hard to find NFL point spread data, by the way.
Yes.
For the NFL preseason. I know you like to go down the database hole as well.
Yep.
So I'm excited about this because I found a solution late last night to double check everything, and I think we're going to have some good info over the next few weeks.
All right, so what get us caught up here, Merrill, on what you do over the next couple of weeks. So do you dabble into the preseason? Are you looking at the future markets? What do you do for college football and the NFL this time of year?
Yeah, I am going to look at maybe some season wins. People have been asking for those. The only one I've ever released at Wager Talk was last year when I gave not my Washington Commanders under their season win total, and I thought that was about as good as it comes. And it followed up what I thought was the best play of the NFL season the year before, which was taking the Eagles in that championship game. The Commanders were a phony team that entire season. We faded them in the title game, and I knew they would regress. And then, of course, I thought there was a chance Jaden Daniels would get injured. I wasn't wishing it. I like Daniels, but the way he played reminded me a lot of RG3 in his sophomore year, and that also happened. So I'm going to dig in a little bit. Andy Lang asked me about the Commanders the other week on Wager Talk today. I said I'm kind of neutral now because they had the second worst turnover margin in the NFL last year. That also helped our cause. But you definitely want to kind of lean towards unders with these future plays if it's yardage, props, season wins, because everything's kind of priced to how it should play out. If you get an injury, which in the NFL is very likely, more so than any sport, it helps the under more. So I'll be looking for some unders. One other thing I'd say, the Commanders had the second worst turnover margin. The Jets had the worst. And if you recall, Joe, they had 4 forced turnovers in all 17 games. Let that sink in. They forced 4 turnovers in the entire 17-game season.
Yep.
I haven't run that through the database, but I can't imagine that's ever happened before. And a lot of that is random variance. And I do think, you want to look at turnover margin. By the way, speaking of turnovers, Chicago Bears had the biggest. I think they were like plus 30-something, plus 33. And, the Seahawks, by the way, I think they were negative on the season. So I wouldn't necessarily think the Seahawks are going to regress. They're doing the hard knocks. I want to run that through the database, Joe. The season win totals for the hard knock team the last 21 years.
Interesting.
Because you would think they'd be very public, right?
Yep.
But the Seahawks look pretty loaded again. And the Patriots also, everyone thinks they're going to regress. They very well might because they had a huge jump in their wins, but they also were pretty neutral in turnovers. Take a look at turnovers, though. Teams that were extremely high or low normally having quite a big bounce back the next year. That's a great starting point if you're doing season win totals.
Not one interception last year.
Is that
Not
true?
one by the New York Jets. Not
that
one.
concerns you because, turnovers are completely random because interceptions, obviously, defenses force some better secondaries, better pass rush. And then, of course, the big edge is the quarterbacks, right? Tom Brady just didn't make mistakes. And that's why the Patriots were incredibly good against the point spread for decades, more than they should have been. So that's a concern because that tells you the Jets' pass defense or pass rush is pretty bad. Fumbles, I have researched this. Fumbles are about 90% random, which makes sense, right? Because everyone's a professional player. That's not necessarily true in college. When you get Akron playing Alabama, there's going to probably be more fumbles by Akron because the guys are bigger and stronger. Yep. But, I really like to look at fumble margins. So that's interesting, Joe, that they didn't have a forced interception.
One.
I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, obviously there's some random variance there, but there's also some god-awfulness.
Ton of god-awfulness. Secondary was atrocious. And now I'm going to be forced to actually have to bet that prop every game until they get one, Merrill. Because, what are the chances of them going, start this year and not get it either?
Don't you martingale on me, Joe Raineri.
They have a pass rusher now. Supposedly, they made the right decision in the draft this year. So we'll see if that works out.
They did have a good draft, and nowadays, it's hard to imagine like the young guys can make a difference. But nowadays, these guys are NFL ready, especially defensive players. I've always thought draft the defensive side. Those guys rarely flop. And I do feel like the Jets had one of the best drafts this year. So you might be onto something there.
Yep.
Basically what I do, Joe, is I take teams that really overachieved and really underachieved. And you're getting maybe 5, 6, 7 teams, right? And then you whittle through them and saw, are there some catalysts or changes or some randomness? Like the Jets, no interceptions forced is a huge concern because maybe it wasn't random. But there is some upside with the draft. But going back to that Commanders example from last year, they had so many last-second wins, last-play wins. They had a turn edge, rookie quarterback that overachieved, injury-prone, and all of that came into play. So it was just the perfect underplay. We'll see if we can find some this season. And, if we do, we'll post them at WagerTalk.com.
Yep, that's the way to do it. In the meantime, Merrill, you have some Major League Baseball this time of year. Of course, final, 45 games or so before we hit the postseason. We were just talking to Bryan Leonard. Famously, you don't want to catch a falling knife. I asked him, we got 7 straight losses by the Dodgers, and people keep betting them like they're on a 7-game winning streak here. And the same thing can be said the other way. Boston refuses to lose games here. Now, they are playing the Athletics here, but what do you do with a red-hot team like this time of year? Do you just keep betting them or finding ways to bet them until they lose a couple in a row? Or how do you approach a team like the Red Sox?
Yeah, you have to respect momentum in any sport, and especially baseball. It's 162 games. There is as many baseball games today on Saturday as an entire week of the NFL. Let that sink in. Over the next week and a half is half an NFL season in baseball games in just like 10 days. So you get some great momentum runs, and some of it is, once again, random variance, but some of it's not. And we talk about the All-Star break often being a momentum killer or a reverse momentum for teams that are struggling. Well, that was not the case for the Red Sox. They went into the All-Star break red hot, and it did not change. They came out, ended up winning 15 straight overall, which is their franchise record. And then they lost the second of the doubleheader that night. That was the letdown spot, I guess, in hindsight. And then they kind of and then a couple games later, they lost one to the Athletics a week ago on Tuesday, July 28th. Well, that was a 4-3 loss. Came back the next day, won 4-2 in extra innings. So it looked like they were cooling off, right? Wrong. They've won 9 straight, as you said. I think it's now, I've lost count. I did a video. When did I do the video? I guess it was on Thursday. They were 30-5. They won both Thursday and Friday. So they're now 32-5. I think it's 29-3 or something otherwise. Or 27-3. I'm losing count. Yeah, actually, their last 30 is 27-3. So that is correct. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
Here's what's more insane, Joe. They're 27-3 their last 30, and they're still in third place, 5 games out of first place in the division out of just 5 teams. Yep. How wild is that? That's because the team started 37-48 this year. So yeah, momentum's a real thing. The Athletics, meanwhile, 1-9 their last 10, 5-25 their last 30. Whew.
Yep.
So 30 years ago, I started as a professional handicapper this month, August of 96. And about 3 years, in around 1999, I developed an underdog system. And I still use it at times. I use a lot of other metrics now, but it's a huge contrarian indicator. And the Athletics actually fit that original underdog system today. So hold your nose, play the A's if you dare. I'll stay off the game for that reason, but I'm also not in a hurry to get in front of the Sox.
Yeah, I'm with you, Merrill. These are the hardest games when you're rolling like this, when you take on a team that you're supposed to win, you know, as a $2, $2.50 fan. Oh, yeah, no, they're going to roll. Yeah, no, that's where the danger comes in here. I think it's a pretty good series early afternoon. Yankees taking on the Braves. I think this is our first game up at 3 o'clock Eastern. Yankees got it done last night. Not a lot of offense, shocker. When you got Chris Sale and you got, Cole going, are we getting a ton of runs in this one either? I don't think so.
Yeah, the Yankees 65-51 of the season. They're not in first place either. They're 4.5 behind those Rays and only a game ahead of the Red Sox. So the AL East is, and by the way, I love multiple teams making the playoffs. You know, you and I are old enough to remember back the 80s. My son is getting into more baseball, like 80s and 90s. You know, we were messing around the other day. And I tell you, like this game, Joe. I said, we were traveling last week. I go, any team, any all-star team in the 1980s, look it up on your phone, and I get 5 yes or no's. I get 5 no questions, and I can predict the player. So you got to tell me the year. So we go 1986. I did not get it right. I narrowed it down to an American League shortstop or third baseman, and I had 2 questions left, and I knew one of the 2 teams. It was Mariners or like Athletics. Jim Presley. I don't even remember Jim Presley. 1986 All-Star. I was like, all right, new rule. It's got to be a starter.
Yeah.
It's got to be a starter for the
Yeah,
All-Star.
exactly. Give me some role player called up in August. No, absolutely not.
Jim Presley. But the reason I bring that up is because one of the hints I could use is like, was it a playoff team? And I realized very early on that didn't help much because there were only 2 playoff teams from each league back in the mid 80s. And most younger viewers probably don't realize this either. We had 7 teams in each American League, East and West, 6 in the National League East and West. Astros were in the West, or Astros were in the National League. And then the one that blew my son's mind was the Braves were in the National League West. And I was like, yep, you know what? They were. How crazy is that back in the 80s? But that was the problem because, like, literally teams were done halfway through the season, had nothing to play for.
Yep.
And, like, the Red Sox still would be 5.5 out of the playoffs despite going 27-3, which is an atrocity. So I like the new format. It keeps these teams active. It keeps them interested. And, this is a great game with the Braves and Yankees for that reason. The Braves, do they turn into like what we talked about with the Dodgers? I heard you and Brian talking about it. It's a great point to bring up because you do worry about teams that kind of have everything locked up, you know, taking their foot off the gas. And that is the trade-off with the new format because the Braves are in first place. They're going to probably win the division, but they don't even have to win the division at this point because they're going to get in as a wild card team because they're 70-46. They're 8.5 up in the division, but then they got that wild card backup if something happens. So you do worry about them eventually regressing. With that said, they're still 8-2 their last 10, 19-11 their last 30, playing excellent baseball. They did lose the extra inning game yesterday, 3-2, but their offense had scored 4 runs or more in 7 straight games before that. So I would lean Atlanta here. I think they're still in better offensive current form, and I definitely don't mind having Sale on the mound. So minus $1.40, 45 would be my lean. And then, yes, it's 7.5 because Cole and Sale are pitching, but these are 2 potent offenses still. Even if Judge is healthy or not, these 2 teams can rake. And 7.5 juice to the under. If we see some 7s by first pitch this afternoon, might want to start taking a look at the over as well.
Yeah, you might very well see that also. And you've got and some teams just can't hit. I mean, watching Seattle play baseball, you know, sets the game back 100 years, Merrill. It is absolutely horrific. But, you know, if I'm Tampa Bay, I want the best record in the American League because if I'm Tampa, as good as they have been at the Trop, I want home field advantage. And it would worry me if I was the Yankees or anybody else, because if they end up locking in home field, their home road splits are night and day, Merrill. Tampa at home field advantage throughout. I would say the same thing. Atlanta is the best team in the National League right now. But if Milwaukee locks in home field advantage for all the playoffs, they're a tough team to beat in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee, 39-22, 33-22. They're actually one of the better road teams in baseball. So that's another reason I think the Brewers are definitely going to be dangerous this postseason. You bring up an excellent point, though, about Seattle and Tampa. I mean, two of the most extreme home road dichotomies in baseball, and it's not a fluke. You know, once again, sometimes it's random variance. You got 30 teams. There's only going to be a couple that you get. Colorado, for example, obviously not random. They're always atrocious on the road, not great at home, but considering how bad they are on the road, they're actually pretty good at home. And that's the case again this year. Colorado, 5 games below 500 at home, 21 games below 500 on the road. And of course, the reason is the altitude. They build their roster knowing they have to play half their games in the thin air and altitude. So you obviously want ground ball pitchers, you want power hitters, things like that for at least what you can try to get. But let's go back to Tampa and Seattle. Tampa has a quirky stadium. Some might say a terrible stadium back in the day. And they're 41-18 at home. They're 28-28 on the road. They're a good team still. What jumps out to me about Tampa, though, Joe, is they might not be as good as everyone thinks. Because, yes, they're 500 on the road, which I think is a red flag. They're also just 24-22 against winning teams this year. So they've been really beaten up on bad teams at home. So I do think as far as the first place teams go, they're probably one of the phony ones. White Sox, obviously, as well, because everyone else was below 500 in that division below them. So that's kind of a given. Getting back to Seattle, they're below 500. They're only in third place. They're only 2.5 below the wild card spot, though, even though they're 5 under 500 for the season. And yes, they're 6 up at home, 11 down on the road. And the guy that jumps out more than anybody in baseball is Bryan Woo. Woo! He's woo when he's home, and he's whoa when he's on the road. His home road splits for years now have been 2 or 3 ERA points higher on the road. So that once again tells you what a pitcher-friendly ballpark Seattle is. So it is something to keep in mind. And this game in Tampa today, so let's not overthink it, right? Huge home road dichotomy. I'm sorry, it's in Seattle today. Let's not overthink it. Huge home road dichotomy for both teams. Kirby on the mound. I would lean Mariners here minus $1.15. And I'm actually going to do a free play video on this game and also that Dodger game you were referencing earlier right after the show here. So for more information on this, Tampa, Seattle, and also my free pick of the Dodger D-back game, be sure to check out WagerTalk TV here this afternoon on Saturday.
Love it. All right, Merrill. Also, I understand you're working on something coming up this football season here that folks should know about. Are you ready to unleash that with people, or are you going to hold back here and do it in a video?
I'll tell you what. I'll mention it first with you, Joe Raineri. First time publicly, and then I'll mention it in the video too. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. You know, the Steam Room is coming up free here at noon with Gianni today on WagerTalk TV. And a lot of people have been asking if I could do something similar. And we finally came up with an idea I think that'll work this football season. We're going to call it Market Call, Merrill's Market Call, if you will, and a little bit of a financial reference. Hey, you can ask financial questions, but it's football related, sports related. And we're going to have the debut in September. And we're going to do Thursday nights most likely. And we'll see if it fits everybody's schedule. And I think it will. Before the Thursday night NFL game and a little before the college game as well. And this will also enable people to get an advanced look at some of the Fade the Public selections before it's released on Friday evening. So that's another thing people have been asking for is advanced look at Fade the Public earlier in the week. So I'm going to give you my initial look at that on Thursday nights. We're going to go into some live bets maybe on the NFL football game before it starts also. And also my 10,000 game simulation is always ready by Thursday nights for college football. An advanced look at that before the top 25 video pops. So keep a lookout for that. More information to come over the next couple of weeks, including some special offers this coming week on my page, stevemerrillwagertalk.com, so you can access that on a weekly basis. But then we had a little hitch, though. We're like, let's start with Thursday night football the first week of September. And I pulled up the schedule to see the exact date, September 10th. And then I realized there's also a game on Wednesday, September 9th. And it's quite a game. It's the Super Bowl rematch on Wednesday, September 9th between the Patriots and Seahawks before the Rams and Niners play the next day. So as of now, I think we're going to do back-to-back market calls on both Wednesday and Thursday, that first week of the NFL. So more information to come in the coming weeks, including some special offers. But yeah, first here, Joe Raineri, with you, because I thought it was only appropriate that I told you before anybody else in the world knew.
I love it.
Except for John. I think Johnny and Kelly know. So you're the third person. Sorry about that.
Done. There you go. And now one more thing to look forward to coming up this football season here, guys. You got the videos coming up later today. Merrill, are you locked in on anything over to your page for folks to know about?
Yeah, 2 best bets, both on the nighttime card for Saturday. So if you're joining us on the replay or later in the afternoon, you still have time to get 2 strong best bets for Saturday Night Baseball. And you might want to pay attention. You know, I told you after the All-Star break, the second half of the baseball season is my sweet spot. Well, we won 6 out of the gate after the All-Star break. And now coming into August, we won 6 of our first 7. We're 67% overall now for the month of August on baseball best bets. And if you recall, this time just a couple years ago, we finished on a 52-24 run over the final 2.5, 3 months of baseball, picking up almost 97 units. So don't sleep on baseball. Yes, football is here. Yes, that market call is going to be here in a few weeks as well. Lots of content for football, but baseball is still your daily bread and butter bankroll builder, BBBBB, on a daily basis for the next 3 months. Don't miss out. 2 strong best bets tonight, and also a bonus free play in the Reds and Nationals game. Ooh. My Washington Nationals, not my Washington Nationals. You find out, because I got a free play in the Reds Nationals game tonight on my page right now. And don't forget, there's some special offers up there. Buy 3, get 3 free, or the rest of the year for almost half price, 47% discount off the rest of the year for all sports. And that gets baseball, college and pro football, college and pro basketball for the rest of 2026 for about $1 a play. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And you get there quicker with the shortcut you see on your screen there, WT.buzz/SM.
Outstanding stuff, R1L. Steve Merril, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you visit his page. Go grab those. Make sure you check out his videos. And Merril, always a pleasure, man. Enjoy it. And that will do it for Wager Talk's last call here on a Saturday. Again, do the thing with the whole buttons. You know that, like, subscribe. You know what you're doing. And don't forget, of course, another edition of Last Call coming your way next week. I do believe, Dan, unless I'm is Kelly Stewart back next week for?
Yeah, well, they'll know when we know, Joe. So I'm just glad you were here this week, because you never know. But Kelly Stewart should be back. And want to mention too, Joe, we're going to be going to 2 days a week here on Last Call as the NFL season looms, folks. Once the regular season is here, you get Last Call Saturdays and Sundays here. As you said, Joe, do the thing with the buttons. There's more reasons than ever to hit that subscribe. And 225,000 plus, Joe, they can't be wrong. So yeah, it's going to be a fun football season. So we saw some new subscribers in here today. Keep on gearing up, folks. Join the family and cash. And Joe, what do you got rocking tonight, by the way?
Oh, I believe I got 3 locked in and loaded on my page at WagerTalk.com, and a free play as well that you can check out. So WT.buzz/JR. This entire next week, Dan, is all about putting together the college football and the NFL game plans, survivor plans, the best betting show ever, you name it. We got a lot going on here at Wager Talk. So now is the time, guys, to hit the like and subscribe button. Become part of this Wager Talk TV family. You got lacrosse today?
Yeah, so we actually, I post the lacrosse plays over at Andy Lang's page, WT.buzz/AL. We just loaded a 4%er. It's a total in the late game tonight. Love this a lot. Think this one's gotten a bit out of control. Which way are we going? You can find out WT.buzz/AL. Joe, we also have that flex picks going on. So, folks, you can switch on over. Joe mentioned he's got 3 plays today. So if you have any flex picks, WT.buzz/JR. You got one for Andy Lang as well. On the way out, I'm wearing the PLL hat, so we'll give you one. We've done well with these little free props, Joe. Logan Wisnauskas. Remember that name. It's easy to remember because it's the weirdest name probably in the game. Logan Wisnauskas over 2.5 points. It's still plus money. Why do we like this? He's on a team that has lost a lot of players. So it's him and Brennan O'Neill. It's a 2-man show. With all of these injuries they've had, he went over this number last week. He's playing the Atlas tonight. They're dead, Joe. Stick a fork in them. They got nothing to play for. The last time he faced off against the Atlas, he had 6 points earlier this year. 2.5 is a crazy number for a guy who is now one of the biggest cogs. So Logan Wisnauskas, it's in the Outlaws versus Atlas game. This one goes at, I believe, 1 o'clock. So go and grab it now. Logan Wisnauskas over 2.5 points.
All right, don't miss it. See,
Merrill gives you too. So you can
Jim
watch
Presley. And Dan gives you somebody that can actually help you make some money here with Wisnauskas. I love it.
It's on ABC at 1 o'clock, so you can watch it live. We're taking Logan Wisnauskas of the Outlaws over 2.5 points. Let's get it, Joe. Get her
done. Lacrosse pays the same as every other sport. Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. So that'll do it, guys. We appreciate the time as always. Don't forget, Check out all these videos coming up here on WagerTalk.com because, well, knowledge is power, guys. And that's exactly what we've got here for you. A ton of knowledge on all sports, everything sports betting, just a couple of clicks away. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the day. We'll see you again next week for another edition of Wager Talk's Last Call. Good luck.